Hey everyone, I wanted to talk to you about something which is a highly debated subject and a lot of people don't understand. First off, what is MDF or medium density fiberboard and does it suck? First off, what is MDF? MDF, which is a bit of it here, comes in 4x8 sheets. It is a paintable, very easily worked material that can be used as a substitute for wood. There are some times when it's a fantastic material and some things you do not want to use it for. MDF does not have a grain structure, which means that it's not going to expand in any direction more than any other. So with wood, this is one of the strengths of wood, but it's also a negative. It's a very difficult thing to deal with wood. Wood expands across the grain, widthwise, not lengthwise. So this is a piece of beech wood here. Lengthwise, from top to bottom, this way it will not expand at all. I mean, it's not noticeable at all. I know it's something, but it's not even worth mentioning. But widthwise and thickness-wise, it will expand. It will actually expand and contract a significant amount widthwise, and you actually have to take that into account for a lot of your woodworking projects. Because grain expands and contracts at different levels, length and width-wise and thickness-wise, there are restrictions on how you can build furniture. You cannot cross grain glue in traditional furniture, and that creates a lot of problems and a lot of difficulty in a lot of different projects. So now that we understand how wood moves and how MDF moves, I'll answer the question, does it suck? No. MDF does not suck, but there are some things you do not want to use MDF for. For example, the flexural strength of wood is much greater than in MDF. So if I was going to balance this between 2 points and try to put pressure on the center of this and bend this piece of wood, wood will be structurally stronger than MDF. MDF here is going to be harder to bend. So if you have an 8-foot stretch of it, you're going to be able to see a lot of flex in that MDF, opposed to very little flex on some hardwood. So I'll cut straight to the chase and tell you some things from a pro's perspective that you do and don't want to use MDF for. Something like a crown molding is perfectly acceptable to be made in MDF. Also, casings, perfectly acceptable. Drawer fronts, perfectly acceptable. And in some cases, even doors, door frames are perfectly acceptable depending on the kind of MDF that you use. This MDF is super refined MDF. And what that means is that the particles of the MDF are much finer than normal MDF. And this means that on the edge, it's perfectly uniform, and you can paint the edges just the same way that you can the faces of super refined MDF. This also means that super refined MDF is going to be harder to break away in its layers because they're more tightly compact and they have a better bond. I also do not recommend any sheet goods at all from the home centers like Lowe's or Home Depot. Those sheet goods are a lower grade quality of ply that you can get than if you were to go to like a cabinet hardwood dealer. So if you go to, here locally, if you're going to go to Aura Hardwoods, they're going to have a much higher quality selection of laminates and of sheet goods than you would find at Home Depot. And on top of that, I'm not using regular MDF. This is super refined MDF. Now, you wouldn't stain MDF. So if you're considering whether do I use wood or MDF, you can start off by, are you going to stain it or are you going to leave it clear? If you're going to stain it or leave it clear, wood is the way to go, and you shouldn't consider MDF in any way. But if you're going to be using a painted product, now you have more options available for you, and now we may use MDF for certain parts of this cabinet or different parts of the furniture project. Okay, now the door on our left is MDF, medium density fiberboard, and this is super refined MDF. And this is beech wood, a very hard wood, about the similar hardness of oak. So now we can see in the finish quality of the MDF door and in the beechwood door, they're perfect. And each of them have their own little quirks. You have to learn how to paint good to get a finish like this. But either one can get a perfectly good finish on either MDF or on... Now that we've taken a look at the quality of finish on painted hardwood and painted MDF, let's go on to what is more important in my opinion, which is the durability test of hardwoods versus MDF. Specifically, Super Refined MDF, which is what we're going to be testing. Now I have in front of me two more pieces of woodwork. This one over here, this is a drawer front that is made out of Super Refined MDF. And this is a hardwood door. This is actually pore-filled oak. Oak is very hardwood. So we're going to be able to test the durability on the face, on the side, and on the corner of hardwoods versus Super Refined MDF to see the durability difference. I'm just going to take a regular hammer with a straight face on it. There's no ribbing on it. I'm going to hit it on the face, and I'm going to hit it on the side and on the corner. We're going to see the damage that they do. First, the hardwood door. Now we can obviously see the frame broke, so we're going to be focusing in on the damage on the surface. Now we're going to be going on the side, and now the corner. Didn't get a good whack the first time. All right, now we're going to go on to the Super Refined MDF. All right, let's take a look. Okay, now here on the hardwood panel, on the face, we have a little bit of an indent. I can just barely feel it with my finger. The bigger damage is not on the surface, it's actually on the paint. And I bet I can actually clean that up to be not horrible. But there's I'd say maybe a 64th of an indent on the surface there. Now onto the surface of the MDF. Wow, I can barely even see that. So that's where I hit it. Right there, you can barely see it in the light. And when I'm running my finger over it, I can't even feel that. So that is actually, on the surface wise, MDF is more resistant than wood. Now we're going to look at the side. Okay, when I hit it on the side of the hardwood, we can see we have a bit of indenting. Now this is quite a bit more. This is a good 1/16 of an inch of an indent, and we have considerable chipping on the paint. And now onto the corner. Oh, you know what? Let's go to the MDF first, over here on the edge. On the edge of the MDF, it's about the same. We have about a 1/16 of an inch indent here. And now we can start to see a little bit of separation between the layers of the Super Refined MDF. But I would actually say the MDF damage is a lot less than the hardwood door. And it looks like it's just because the MDF had a better grip on that on the paint. Now we're going to look at the corner. So this is the hardwood. Now let's see how we can get a good view on this. It looks bad. I mean, the paint has kind of been squished off to the sides, so you can see that the wood kind of shining through. And yeah, it's good damage. Now on the corner of the MDF. So now we can see on the corner of the MDF, the edges have started to fray a little bit on the top. On the side, it actually looks totally fine. But both of them are bad, and both of them would need to be repaired. Both of them look bad. Well, there we have it. We have some real-world test results on what the damage could look like on both wood and super refined MDF. Now let me say, in my opinion, I haven't tested them scientifically, but in my workable opinion, I've worked with a lot of MDF and super refined MDF. Super refined MDF seems a bit harder. The layers are more tightly packed together and they're harder to split. I consider it to be a much superior product to the traditional MDF. I do not buy regular MDF anymore because super refined MDF just suits all of my needs. But we have some real world test results and practical results on what the damage on both wood, and this is oak, by the way, very hard wood, about the hardest wood most people are going to get on their cabinets or furniture, and some super refined MDF. On the surface level, the super refined MDF went way better result. I can't even feel that with my finger. I can feel that with the oak, and we can actually visibly see the damage. On the side, the damage was worse on the oak, and on the corner, I would say the damage is just slightly worse on the super refined MDF. So I would consider for drawer fronts and for some doors, if it's not a complex profile, MDF is a perfectly acceptable material for you to use on there. It's kind of like if you were going to talk about if you're going to want plastic in your car. Only a fool would say, I don't want any plastic in my car. I want the entire car to be made out of solid steel because metal's stronger. Well, yeah, you use metal for what metal's best at, and you use plastic for what plastic's best at. You want to separate these two materials and use them for what they're best at in their class. I would not make a frame, a structural frame when we need flexural strength with MDF. I would use that regular hardwood for that. Well guys, thanks for visiting me here in the shop. I hope this was informative for you, not only if you're a woodworker, but also if you're out there looking for products and someone is offering you MDF as an option for your product. Don't be afraid and don't think that they are a horrible craftsman if they offer you an MDF product. It's a fantastic product when it's used for the right thing. And wood is a fantastic product when used for the right thing too. There's things that MDF can do that wood can't, and there's things that wood can do that MDF can't. Thanks for stopping by, guys, and have a good day.